बोले सोने हाल सासरी अकाल।
My name is Manjeet Kaur.
My name is Gurnam Singh.
Welcome to the One Show.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ
ਫਤਿਹ। ਦੁਨੀਆ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕ ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ 106 ਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 106 countries viewers across the world would welcome you to a very special and a sad One Show today.
Very sad.
Today we're going to be talking about London. We're going to be focusing on London. ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਔਰ ਇਹ ਦੋ ਪੱਖ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਕੈਂਸਿੰਗਟਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਸੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਭਿਆਨਕ ਵੈਰੀ ਸੀਰੀਅਸ ਫਾਇਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਕਰੀਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੇ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਵੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਗਭਗ 100 ਐਸਟੀਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ 100 ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਜੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ 7th ਫਲੋਰ ਤੇ 11th ਫਲੋਰ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਮੌਤਾਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਪਰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਨੰਬਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਹਾਲੇ ਤੱਕ
ਸੋ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਫਰਸਟ 15-20 ਮਿੰਟਸ ਔਰ ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਜ਼ੀ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਫਰਮ ਦ ਸੀਨ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਰਿਪੋਰਟਰ ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਆਨੰਦ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨਗੇ ਸੋ ਜਦੋਂ ਜੁੜਨਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੀ ਆਖਾਂਗੇ ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਵੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਮਨਜੀਤ ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਉੱਥੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਲਵਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿੱਖ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਜੋ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ ਲੰਡਨ ਦਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਰਚਾਇਆ ਐਂਗਲੋ ਸਿੱਖ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਇਨ ਲੰਡਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੂੰਗੇ ਔਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਗੈਸਟ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰਾਂ ਸੋ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਸੋ ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ Yeah, thanks for joining us and I'll come back to you in a second to get some updates on what's been happening in Kensington but I'll just introduce our other guest another Londoner we've got Rav Singh from the Anglo-Sikh History London Street Tours and I will say a bit more about you afterwards Rav but just to say thanks for coming Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh Gurpreet I know that you know you are from Shepherd's Bush, you're West London, so you've been in there, you've been observing, you've been actively involved, and can you just give us some current updates? What is the current situation? Because earlier on we were watching the news and there was some trouble outside Kensington and Chelsea Town Hall, and some of the families were very. So give us a quick update.
Well, on the first day we noticed there was anger and resentment. People had said that issues about the building had been complained about to the council and ignored. There was a lot of shock and we were detecting the resentment there that it was there. On the second day it started to come out more openly. People were discussing and we were being told that there are going to be protests and we were told that where we were serving longer from, there shouldn't be any protests there. However, I've got people there at the moment, and so you don't just have a protest outside the town hall now. You actually have a protest going past where we are serving longer from. It's a peaceful protest at the moment, but the emotions are high, and you know the risks of trouble are there.
So who are the protesters? Because I mean, we're being told that a significant number of the families actually perished in the fire. So who are the protesters? Are there families, relatives, or are there people coming in from outside? Can you give me some impression about the kind of mix of the protesters?
So generally the protesters are people who are local to the area.
Okay.
Yes, you will find a small percentage of activists, you know, political activists, Socialist Worker Party. You know, some of their banners are there, but generally this is a grassroots protest by the people from the area who really feel they've been neglected, and you know, there is a deep resentment there that they're being cut in services, and as far as we could see, from Shepherd's Bush Gurdwara and our Sevadars there that the aid being provided was largely coming from the public and aid organizations. We couldn't see, the government on the ground. So there's a lot of anger for authorities, not for the police, not for the ambulance service, not for the fire brigade. People were cheering them.
But do you think there's a failure?
Saw a fire engine go by, people would cheer.
Would you say that the local authority, the council and maybe central government had failed in terms of responding quickly enough, adequately enough when it was needed? Do you think that that's the feeling on the ground, that they just failed in their duty?
Yeah, that is exactly the case. So the aid, the large amounts of the aid you saw was all coming from people, not there just wasn't visibility of what we would call the bureaucracy acting.
Yeah. Is it because of Theresa May didn't pay attention to the people there, and people called her she's a coward, and she hid behind?
Is that part of
I wouldn't say it's because of Theresa May. I don't think she would pass a hukum down saying not to do anything. This is a job of the local council, must have some action plan for disaster planning.
But she didn't give no empathy.
We try to encourage Gurdwaras to have action plans for disaster planning, but it appears that our local authorities fail on these matters.
But there was no empathy for the people there.
Well, that's the impression. I
can't comment on whether they had or did not have empathy.
I just want to go back.
All I know is they're failing.
I just want to go, Gurpreet, I just want to go back to the fire, because the fire started from outside, did it? You can correct me if I'm wrong, from is it the cladding?
The cladding, yeah.
Cladding, right. And cladding is banned from America. And how come 2017 is still continuing from here?
So it depends on the type of cladding. So the type of cladding used here, if it was a building in Germany, you can only use it on a building up to the height where a fire engine could reach.
That's right.
I believe that the proper type of cladding would have only cost £2 more a square meter.
Yes.
So for saving small amounts of money, we're putting people's lives at risk. And I think we need to look to strengthen up the laws and to backwards apply this onto existing properties.
Let me pick that one up, because Lily Allen yesterday on Channel 4 News was very direct, and I think in fact so direct that the BBC, who was going to have her on there, pulled out. And she was saying two or three things. She was saying, first of all, that it seemed like they were putting the kind of aesthetics of the area, the kind of beauty of the building over the safety issues. That was first. The second issue was around, she was saying that there's a massive underreporting, that there was some kind of deliberate attempt not to report the numbers of deaths, and she was talking in the hundreds.
Yes.
So what do you think? Do you think that, I mean, I'm not
the issue here is, I think the media, it's a double-edged sword. If they report something incorrectly or early or based on without being able to verify it, we vilify them. And Akaal channel is also media. You guys need to be responsible.
Absolutely,
media sources need to be responsible. So media sources are going to always be careful, and they're going to report what the firemen tell them. We know the death toll is going to get higher, and that we don't know the exact figures yet. It's not a case of under-reporting, it's a case of that they're reporting only what they know.
Gurpreet, how close is Shepherd's Bush to the actual flats themselves, Grenfell House? And just tell me a bit about the Sikh response, because I know that SWAT were there, the Gurdwara, and there was a lot of publicity about that. Just give us a bit of a kind of a summary of the kind of involvement with local Sikhs.
Okay, so the tower is literally about 10 minutes away from us, maybe shorter depending on how fast you walk. So it's not very far at all. Our Sevadars who are in the houses next door heard the sound of the helicopters and wondered what was going on, and realized that there's a huge fire. Very quickly, at 5 a.m., they were already on scene with water. There were people coming out of the buildings. Nearby buildings were also being evacuated because at that time, just like what had happened in 9/11, there was a fear that the tower may collapse. And if it collapsed, it would have impacted buildings around.
That would have been,
nearby houses were also being evacuated. So a lot of people roaming around in their nightclothes. Those who had escaped the fire, you escape with what's on your back. You don't get time to pick up things. So people were there in their nightclothes, nightgowns, without shoes, some barefooted. And our Sevadars had straight away, they'd gone to the nearest 24-hour Sainsbury's in this case, and they had emptied them out of all their water bottles. And we bought all the water bottles and we started distributing them. We got calls out to get more Sevadars on scene. And there and then also, as our Gurdwara Sahib is undergoing renovation, our kitchen wasn't available to make langar. So I got in touch with the General Secretary of Ealing Gurdwara Sahib, Mr. Nirmal Singh Ahluwalia, and he was fantastic. He said, Gurpreet ji, fikr nahi karo, langar ban jayega. So he arranged to get langar made. We had some of our Sevadars go pick it up, bring it down to scene. And Ealing Gurdwara has been fantastic. Mr. Ahluwalia, their General Secretary, he's been really fantastic in getting langar made each day, and we're taking it down, and it's really been appreciated by the people there.
I mean, Gurpreet, I know that we've got a lot of viewers in West London and the Gurdwaras. At the moment, it seems like they have more than enough in terms of their needs. Is there anything else that you think that the Sikh community need to do, can do, if you wanted to appeal to the West London community there?
What I'd tell the Sikh community to do is start writing to your MPs, asking them how many unsafe buildings are in their area and what's going to be done about it. Now is time for political activism. We've got the relief activism in hand. Khalsa Aid is on scene, SWAT is on scene, Shepherd's Bush Gurdwara is on scene. We've got the relief happening. United Sikhs are there. They were handing out battery packs to the victims so they could charge their mobile phones. Just amazing work. We're talking about at the time all the communities coming together to help out. You saw the same within the Sikh community. Certain groups who would never talk to each other were all of a sudden coordinating together, and it was fantastic on the ground. It took a tragedy to bring it together. All the Sikh groups worked together. We didn't duplicate our efforts. We were very controlled and careful, and we did a fantastic job.
I've got Rav Singh here as well. Rav just wants to come in as well. Rav, I don't know if you wanted to pick up on, that last point about activism, and I know that you work in local government, and we've got to be very careful here what we say, but there is a general concern that, particularly in London, the aesthetics may be, taking precedence over safety, and there's been a lot of cladding in order to, kind of meet the kind of, particularly in Kensington, where you've got very expensive properties and real estate developments. Do you want to comment on that aspect? I'm
not an expert on cladding, but I work in regeneration, and I think when we do regeneration projects in many areas in London are polarised. In the 60s they joined the traditionally poorer parts of a borough with the traditionally richer part of the borough and created new boroughs in the 50s.
Well, Notting Hill used to be a real inner city kind of poor area, didn't it?
But I think so. But London is also going through waves of regeneration. So we're on our third wave of regeneration post-war. So we're not like America, where you can have a grid system already in place. We have a very complex road network, complex power, complex system. So regeneration, when we do any regeneration projects, our aim is to bring the community with us on any project. And some of the stuff we're seeing on social media at the moment kind of feels like, the community are angry.
But in bits of central London, and even pushing out, if you go in East London now, Gurpreet, there was a time when around Shepherd's Bush we had a substantial Sikh community. But now really, there might be some wealthy Sikhs around there, but much of the Sikh community has been pushed out, hasn't it? That's one of the issues about this kind of gentrification of central London.
I wouldn't call it gentrification necessarily. It takes a Sikh to sell his house to move out, or a desire to have something bigger out of London.
Right.
That same Sikh could well have kept his place there. ultimately people have the freedom to move where they want, and you will see areas go up, areas go down. Yes, the area around the Gurdwara, when the Gurdwara opened, used to be a poor area, but we saw in the early 80s that it changed. We actually recently had an issue a few years ago with some of our residents who wanted to get trees planted all around the Gurdwara to hide it from sight, so to improve their property values. And we actually had a bit of a battle with the council to sort that out and to stop that from happening.
Yeah, look, Gurpreet, I know that you're going to go to a meeting down there in the community centre. So, any last kind of thoughts that you'd like to leave our Akaal Channel viewers with?
The main thought I want to leave the Akaal Channel viewers with is we Sikhs are very capable. We've done a lot, and we need to keep in action. This is something which isn't going to go away. These people, their suffering is going to last for a while. It's not a case that we pack the bags and walk away. We got to keep in action. We need to move relief action towards political activism to help them. We have political contacts. We're getting more people into Parliament now, and we need to make our voices felt for social activism to improve the lives of people.
Thanks very much.
I don't know if you know anything about the government for the housings, like
about the rehousing situation
and the accommodation at the moment. If they've got any accommodation.
Yeah. Are they still in the community centre, or have they been moved into hotels?
That is part of the anger, because the rehousing has been people sleeping in what's akin to refugee camps. So there are community centres and the Westway Hall, the sports centre there. People are just sleeping in there, and others have opened up their doors saying, "Hey, if someone wants to come in and move in with us, we're happy to have them." So it's coming from people. Yet we all pay our taxes to the government to sort out problems like this, and they seem incapable of doing so, but seem happy to raise our taxes.
Let me put a controversial issue. I mean, a lot of those residents were from migrant communities, maybe refugees, asylum seekers, from non-white communities, not exclusively, but working class communities. Do you think that if that would have been a middle class, professional kind of, tower block, that the reaction would have been different, both from the media and the government? Do you think that there is a class issue here?
That's a tricky one for me to comment on.
Okay.
That's hard to quantify, not without having something to compare it with.
Well, okay.
It is hard for me to quantify.
Well, time will tell. Time will tell whether what politics is behind.
But one thing I want to say about that is definitely on the point of refugees. When we were out with Rav Singh from Khalsa Aid, there were people there who recognised him from his work in Syria and Iraq.
That's amazing.
And they were living in the area, so in a way, they've seen Ravi Singh from Khalsa Aid working in those regions, but yet they saw him also again working in London to provide relief.
Fantastic.
That's brilliant.
So great work, and you've done us proud.
Fantastic seva.
And keep in touch and give us updates as and when you have that. So
thank you very much.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Vaheguru Ji Fateh Ji.
So that was Gurpreet Singh Anand, who's involved with Shepherd's Bush Gurdwara, and as you can he's given you some very graphic details. But they've done Sikhi proud. I mean, in a sense, it's a very sad, unfortunate event. But and the true spirit of Sikhi is coming through.
Definitely. And they're working very collectively.
Absolutely. So talking about the true spirit of Sikhi, we're going to be now moving on to talking about the Sikh history in London. And I did do a short introduction to Rav Singh, but let me just give a bit more detail. I mean, Rav Singh, as I said, he works for the number of Tower Hamlets as a project manager, and that's his kind of background. But his educational background, he actually did a BSc in biotechnology and genetic engineering at Imperial College in London. So he's kind of come from a science background, and but he has a hobby in Anglo-Sikh history, and has got quite involved in that. And you kind of pioneered this kind of street history, really, and the whole kind of thing about guided walks. So once again, welcome to the show, and thanks very much for coming. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Vaheguru Ji Fateh.
So Ravi, how did you get interested in Anglo-Sikh history, especially born and bred in this country? How do you balance the two?
So, I mean, I think born in East London, studied in London, as you said, worked across all of London. I think since '93, I've just been a kind of a collector of Sikh items. It used to be India or British items, and then I just started to hone my collections of Sikh items. And at that time, this is pre-eBay, pre-internet type. So you used to go down to markets like Notting Hill Market, and you used to be able to pick up stuff at quite low cost. You know, anything that had Golden Temple on it, any old war medals, any newspaper articles.
So you became a collector.
Yeah, as a
what
collector.
age were you then?
Yeah.
It was just teens, really, 13,
Really?
14, 15. I was helping people in markets, and then you'd earn
Very
your
young,
£15
yeah.
from a market, and you just go down. It's a collector's market. It's like a boot fair.
But I mean, you're born in this country, yeah?
Yeah, but you get inspired by someone, you know.
Well,
so in our Gurdwara.
So was that your hobby then, or?
No, it wasn't even a hobby. What happened basically is there was maybe an exhibition. There was a gentleman called Mr. Bara who put on an exhibition at Neville Road Gurdwara, and he had an amazing array of
How old
items.
were you then?
Kid, 12, 13.
Really?
You know?
12,
Very
yeah.
young.
So
Yeah.
basically, I just saw the items. I used to
Yeah.
collect coin stamps anyway.
Right.
And then I started to say, well, actually, there's Sikh items out there. There's Sikh coins out there. There's stamps to do with Sikhi out there. There's newspaper articles to do with Sikhi out there. And in London, they were available because a lot of people who came post 47 back settled in Chelsea.
Yeah.
All of the English officers. And as they were passing away in their 80s and 90s, in the late 80s and 90s
The houses
here,
were being
cleared out, and you
Flea
could
markets,
go to the markets, and you'd see hundreds of postcards, photographs, things like
Wow.
this, and you would just sift through, and if it was a Gurdwara or a Khanda item, you'd just buy it, and it'd be about £2 or £1, and that started a little collection. And then I started to sell off my other items to try and make space for the India items and the Sikh items.
No.
And then
But in some senses, you went to university to do biochemistry. Was that kind of part of the Indian kind of stereotype that you
no,
did science?
not really. It was sciences. It was just it was a career. We thought, you know, it was pre-2000.
So the
genetics
history was your hobby, but
Yeah.
your study was science.
Study was science. There wasn't really an avenue to study history as a kind of, you know, now I'm encouraging kids, if you want to do the arts, if you want to do anything, there's
That's right,
probably
Yeah.
a way to do it. But at that time I wasn't, you know, it was traditional subjects only, you know, there wasn't any.
So tell us about the London tours and how did you begin, and
so-
what response did you have from the people?
So I think around 2003 we had a Punjabi school in Ilford, Karamsar school, and I was a Punjabi teacher, ਉੱਥੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ
Oh,
ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ
Wow.
ਪਰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਿਖਾਣੀ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਆ ਅੱਜ
ਬਹੁਤ
ਕੱਲ੍ਹ
ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ,
ਹੈ ਨਾ
ਅੱਛਾ।
ਇਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਘਰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ
ਪਰ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ
ਸਕੂਲ-
unusual, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਜੰਮ ਪਲੇ ਨਾ, UK ਤੇ ਜੰਮ ਪਲੇ ਨਾ।
ਇੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਜੰਮੇ ਹਾਂਜੀ
Yeah,
ਇੱਥੇ ਦੇ
born and
ਜੰਮੇ
bred here,
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਇੱਥੇ
yeah.
ਦੇ
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਖੁਦ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਟੀਚਰ ਬਣ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ।
ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਸੀ ਫਿਰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਟੀਚਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਟੀਚਰ ਕਿ ਕਲਾਸ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਲਓ
ਇੱਕ ਕਮਾਲ ਦੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ।
ਨਹੀਂ
It's a big step, yeah.
ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਇਦਾਂ ਸੀ
Especially if
ਕਿ
you're born and bred in this country.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਫਿਰ
Yeah.
ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ 1 ਘੰਟੇ ਲਈ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਕੂਲ ਆ ਕੇ 1 ਘੰਟੇ ਲਈ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਸੀ ਪਾਠ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਨਵੇਂ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਿਖਾਣੀ ਪਈ ਸੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ
ਇਹ ਤੇਰੀ ਥੋੜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਗੱਲ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਪ ਖੁਦ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ, ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਤਦ ਮੈਂ ਜੰਮਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਚੋਂ 2 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਟੀਚਰਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਦੋ ਅਨਕੁਆਲੀਫਾਈਡ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਮੈਟ੍ਰਿਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ, and they used to have these kind of very parrot fashion kind of old style with sticks, and I found it totally
It was like torture for me as well. I
torture.
couldn't. Yeah.
ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਸੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਉਹ ਰਾਮਗੜੀਆ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕੇਨੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਟੀਚਰਸ, ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਟੀਚਰ ਸੀਗੇ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਟੀਚਿੰਗ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੀ ਸੀ। ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਕੂਲ ਕਰਮਸਰ ਤੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਨਵੇਂ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਿਖਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ 1 ਘੰਟਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਅੱਧਾ ਘੰਟਾ ਫਿਰ ਇਨਸਪੀਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਫਿਰ ਆਪਣੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੀ ਆਈਟਮ ਲੈ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ, ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ। ਫਿਰ YouTube ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੇਸਿਕਸ ਆਫ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ, ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਚੈਨਲਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਦਿਖਾਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਲਾਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਲਓ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। And so it opened up a new way of teaching up Punjabi. Then I retired in 2012 to do these tours because they were taking up my weekends.
Who goes on the tours then?
We have ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਤੇ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਫੇਸਬੁੱਕ ਤੇ ਪੋਸਟਰ ਲਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਇੰਨੇ ਵਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਹੈ ਸਟੋਰ ਤੇ। ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੰਦੇ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ WhatsApp ਗਰੁੱਪ ਬਣਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ, ਇੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਰੀ ਪਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ, ਜੇ 20 ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਮਿਟਮੈਂਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ
ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਿੱਖਸ or do you have with people from different nationalities?
ਸੋ ਗੱਲ ਇਦਾਂ ਸੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜੇ 20 ਬੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਤੋਂ 20 ਬੱਚੇ ਹੀ ਲੈ ਆਇਆ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਸੋ always had a group ਇਦਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਇਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਟੀਚਰ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਟੀਚਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਲਗਭਗ 100 ਵੋਲੰਟੀਅਰਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਤੇ ਕਈ ਸੈਟਰਡੇ ਟਿਊਜ਼ਡੇਜ਼ ਥਰਸਡੇਜ਼ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਡਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ 300 ਬੱਚੇ ਦਾਖਲ ਹੋਏ
so different faiths ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਹੋਣੀਆਂ different cultures
and then through Facebook we get the wider groups and I've had groups from Australia Fiji
ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਦਵਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ break ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ we're actually going to give you a tour we've got some slides and Rav's going to actually ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਟੂਰ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਉਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੰਡਨ ਦਾ ਟੂਰ ਕਰਾਉਣਾ ਸੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਸ ਉਤਾਵਲੇ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੋ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਆਪਾਂ ਟੂਰ ਵੀ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਪਰ just get some background information.
Sure.
But what I'm interested in is, I mean, did you have to excavate some of that history?
Yes.
In order then to...
मैं लंदन ਦਾ ਜੰਮਿਆ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਆਫਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਡਿਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟ 'ਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ 98 ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਣੀ 99 ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਕੰਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿ ਅੰਡਰਗਰਾਉਂਡ ਜਾਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਤੁਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੀ ਸਟਰੀਟਾਂ 'ਚ ਇਸ ਕੁਇਕਰ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਥੱਲੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਆਣਾ ਉਨਾ ਹੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਸਕਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਰ ਕੇ ਹੀ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਫਿਰ ਦੇਖ ਲਈਦੀ ਸੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਰੁਕ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਰੁਕ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਮੀਟਿੰਗਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਡੇਟਾਬੇਸ ਬਣਾ ਲਈ ਸਾਰੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ You go to some buildings and you see paintings in there that people don't even know.
Rav, that's a really good point. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੁਝ ਜਾਣਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛੋ
yes that's a really it's a good sign
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੰਡਰਗਰਾਉਂਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਜਾਓ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਮੈਂ ਆਪ ਖੁਦ when I was studying in London I used to cycle everywhere
right
and because I used to cycle I actually got to know the kind of the geography of London
ਤੇ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਟੂਰਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਪਾਸ ਦੌੜਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਰੁਕ ਕੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਦੇਖੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਇਹ ਦੇਖੀਆਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਇਹ we know these places ਹੈ ਨਾ ਪਰ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ 200 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ so it's all here it's on the streets
so where does I mean where does the story begin I know that we're going to be telling some of the story where does Sikh history begin
So for me, people would say Anglo-Sikh history begins with the arrival of Maharaja Dalip Singh in the UK, but he would be the first notable Sikh, and that's where Anglo-Sikh history could start. But actually pre-Dalip Singh, there are records, they're not notable, but they would have arrived at the East India Basin in Tower Hamlets.
Well, I mean,
in London, on the streets of London. And then we have photos of Sikhs here residing in London during the wars, in the air raid shelters under the tunnels, Bethnal Green, etc. And then we move into a phase 60s, 70s, 80s when we have lots of Sikh history.
But let's just, I mean, it's often said that that's the starting point. I mean, if you think about the East India Company,
yes, yeah, I mean,
merchants, and I'm pretty sure Sikhs were being drawn even before the annexation of the Punjab.
Yes, so they would be serving under the Calcutta armies, the Bengal armies. They would be serving under there, and they would have travelled around as well. When we look at the world, there's Sikhs that were helping via the Spanish in the Panama Canal. This photo. So, but the London history, for me, the notable recorded history starts here. But the Guru Granth Sahib Ji's arrival in the UK even predates everything we know about MacLeod. In Gurmukhi arrived in the 1820s.
And we are, I mean, ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਤਾਂ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਸ 2 ਮਿੰਟ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਪਰ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਯੂਰਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ I mean, we're even getting evidence now. Guru Nanak Pasha, Rome began saying, I know that it's maybe speculative, but we have to go there and we have to do the work.
Ourselves.
We know about certain Portuguese, I've forgotten, Xavier, I think it was, the Portuguese Roman Catholic bishop that went to India, who chronicled the I think it was Banda Singh Bahadur, that when there was the execution of Banda Singh Bahadur.
Okay,
or it could have been taken by I can't remember which one, because the East India Company had got into Delhi and there were people moving forward back. So it's not just the history where Sikhs have tread, but it would be where people have encountered Sikhs and then come back and chronicle that as well.
Sure, there is textbooks around that. Will go from 1600 onwards.
So we are going to go to a break in a minute, and after the break we will be talking about we'll be actually talking about some of the places in London. But I know you're giving a talk tomorrow. We've got a big conference at Warwick University. We've still got places. If you'd like to attend, you're going to have to go online. The website. If you just type in International Sikh Conference Warwick, it'll come up, and you can still attend. I know Rav's one of the speakers there.
Yeah.
But tomorrow you're going to be talking about.
So what are you going to talk about?
Chelsea
Well,
and
basically,
Kensington.
so basically my chapter,
ironic,
so Harjinder Singh and Gurinder, it started last year. My database on London is over 120 locations, so it's not enough. So I just focused on Kensington and Chelsea, and I have over 15 locations just in Kensington and Chelsea related to aspects of Sikh and Anglo-Sikh history, which we'll go through tomorrow.
And of course, as we were saying earlier on, we were talking to Gurpreet with Shepherd's Bush, and that was a bit of a magnet. That whole area around Notting Hill, Kensington, Chelsea. I mean, nowadays, I'd say it is one of the most expensive estate in the world, actually.
Yes.
And so the demography has shifted, but there was a time when a lot of markets and traders and that kind of thing. It was a bustling area, wasn't it, in one sense? And Shepherd's Bush, of course, So we are going to go for a break now. ਅੱਜ show ਅਸੀਂ ਲੰਡਨ ਸਿੱਖ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਰਵ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਲਾਈਡਸ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਗੇ or we're going to talk about different parts of London and how the Sikh connection. So we're going to go for a short break now, Manjit, and then after the break we will be showing you some slides. Because Rav's got so much to share with us, we're not going to really take any calls unless you have a really good kind of reason why, but otherwise we won't be taking any calls. We want to really get the most from Rav. So ਆਪਾਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਵੱਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੋਗੇ ਜੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਬੁਲਾਓ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋਨੇ ਹਾਲ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ
ਪੂਰਾ ਐੜਾ ਈੜੀ ਸਸਾ
Welcome back to a very special one show. Today we're focusing on London, particularly the Sikh contribution, Sikh history, Sikh presence in London, and we've got Rav Singh from the Sikh History Tours with us today. Just before the break, Rav, we were just getting some kind of background information and some of your own motivation and inspiration. But we have got some slides that you've prepared, so thanks for that. And we're kind of, as I say, this is like a bit of a sample tour, if you like. And if we start with the first slide, which is Trafalgar Square. So I think that you can see that on the screen. And just talk us through that one. And Trafalgar Square is a very, very significant place for Sikhs. I mean, there were 1,000 Sikhs there just last week.
Exactly.
So it's a very powerful space anyway, but tell us about Trafalgar Square.
Every June we're there at Trafalgar Square, and prior to that now we're back in the square with Vasaki in the square in London. But when I've been going to Trafalgar Square, I saw this in 1999 where we have the statue of Major General Sir Henry Havelock. Now Havelock, for many people in West London or East London, they'll recognise the name, or we'll come to that later. But Havelock General in India, and when the mutiny happened in India in 1857, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ mutiny ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ Indian now ਕਹਿੰਦੇ Indian War of Independence. But then the Sikhs were in a unique position.
They helped to put down the mutiny.
So 1849 Second Anglo-Sikh Wars, and it's only been 9 years. But in those 9 years, the British began to trust the Sikhs, and actually the Sikhs trusted the British to an extent as well. There was many things that happened in those 9 years which, for example, Sikhs were allowed to keep their full dara, Garbans were accommodated, and their prayer times were accommodated, and Amrit Vela was accommodated. So Sikhs had a relationship with the British.
So was that partly a consequence of
the generals, the generals who
but supporting?
So when they had the Indian War of Independence, the Sikhs were in a position to, do we support the British and quell the mutiny, or do we join the mutiny? And it was some regiments, including the Firozpur regiment of Sikhs, that actually supported the British, and they went down to Lucknow, and they did something quite courageous there. They defended the fort where 250 women and children were of the British. They defended the fort, and there was a campaign medal called Lucknow Defence and Capture. And Havelock was the general at the time, and he collected a lot of Sikh troops, Brazer Sikhs, Havelock Sikhs, etc. And when these gentlemen started to come back to England and write their memoirs, they wrote about those episodes. And he wrote, soldiers, your labours, your privations, your sufferings and your valour will not be forgotten by a grateful country. So that's in Trafalgar Square, and you go around the back and it says the Firozpur Regiment of Sikhs. It's very small, but in the middle of Trafalgar Square.
So बहुत important है ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹਰ ਸਾਲ ਇੱਥੇ UK ਦੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਜਦੋਂ 84 ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਟ੍ਰੈਫਾਲਗਰ ਸਕੁਆਇਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਮੁਜ਼ਾਹਰਾ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਪਰ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਰਾਵ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਵੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਮੇਜਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਹੈਨਰੀ ਹਾਵਲੌਕ was he killed in that battle?
No, so he was at the battle.
So ਇੰਚਾਰਜ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਟੈਚੂ ਬਣਿਆ 1857 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਹੋਈ ਸੀਗੀ ਲਖਨਊ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਔਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਫਿਰੋਜ਼ਪੁਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਰੈਜੀਮੈਂਟ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਦਿਨਾਂ 'ਚ British ਦਾ ਸਾਥ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਰੈਕਗਨਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਇਸ ਸਟੈਚੂ
ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਇਹ ਫਿਰੋਜ਼ਪੁਰ ਰੈਜੀਮੈਂਟ ਆਫ ਸਿੱਖਸ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ soldiers your labours your privations your sufferings and your valour will not be forgotten by a grateful country and that's quite poignant when the Sikhs face trouble in the UK.
Well there is a tension here because I mean Sikhs are loyal to whichever country they live in and at the time it was the British rule and we've got Saragari and we've got other notable And some people might have said that they should have been part of the kind of War of Independence. Later they were.
They were later.
But I think that it's always.
But it's individual regiments. So these regiments would have been very loyal to their general, and they would have helped.
So that's Trafalgar. If we go to the second side.
Just on Trafalgar Square though, I say Southall, we say one of the most famous Gurdwara in London is on Havelock Road. Havelock Road is after Havelock, Major General Henry Havelock.
So
there's a history that connects, Gurdwara back on Havelock Road.
Chalo ji ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਦੂਜੀ ਸਲਾਈਡ ਵੱਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ. This is a one Whitehall place and just to ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ Whitehall ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਹਾਊਸ ਆਫ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ 10 ਡਾਊਨਿੰਗ ਸਟਰੀਟ ਵੱਲ ਆਈਦਾ ਟ੍ਰੈਫਾਲਗਰ ਸਕੁਆਇਰ ਵੱਲ ਆਈਦਾ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੜਕ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਰੇ UK ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗਸ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ Whitehall ਕਹੀਦਾ so there's a seat of power really isn't that Whitehall?
Yeah, so this is number 1 Whitehall place and it's the National Liberal Club the National ਜਿਹੜੀ Liberal Party they were very strong in the 1880s onwards but from a liberal perspective
because in those days I mean there wasn't a Labour Party it was the Tories who were the Conservatives and the Liberals, the Whigs, they were the opposition.
So that's it, so they were the opposition. But in the 1880s they began to draw strength. And I feel that they studied the Punjab because it was only 30 years before as a liberal kingdom where everyone had equal rights and they could rise to the seats of high power in government, in Maharaja Ranjit Singh's government. And you go to the National Liberal Club and it's a tall staircase and you see this staircase which is on the slide there. Gladstone is a very famous politician, but he laid the foundation stone here. When you get right to the very top of this staircase, they have all the kings and queens going up, Queen Victoria, Prince Albert. When you get to the very top, it is Maharaja Dalip Singh's painting at the very top, at the National Liberal. So to me, in some way...
Is that conjecture, Ravi, or have you actually spoken?
No, so I've got 3 theories, and they're all 3 theories are being investigated fully. Okay. There are other theories as to why that painting is there. But there are speeches in Parliament, there are things that connect. A study of a liberal kingdom in effect and liberal policies being implemented in the UK.
Right.
So ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਵੀ ਦਿਖਾ ਦਵਾਂ ਜੋ ਰਵ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਬਰਦਸਤ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਸੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਮੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਚਲੋ ਮਾਈਨਰ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਲੇਬਰ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਲੈ ਲਈ ਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਸਮਾਂ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ 2 ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਤੇ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਔਰ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈੱਡਕੁਆਰਟਰ ਹੈਗਾ Whitehall ਪਲੇਸ ਨੰਬਰ 1 ਉੱਥੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਦਲੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਥਿਊਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਵੀ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਰਾਜ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੋਲਿਟਿਕਸ ਸੀਗੀ ਜਾਂ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ multicultural, liberal, inclusive Raji, that was very kind of resonated with the liberal ideology as well.
Especially from an education perspective. Now, tomorrow at the conference, I'm interested in one of the speakers who's talking about this, so we may be able to get some more here. But next to this painting is also another painting, and when I was there with Gurinder Singh Mani, he commented on another painting there of Captain Colin Mackenzie at the top of the staircase. I'm always worried why they're at the top. And the Captain Colin Mackenzie was the gentleman who brought the first Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji in Gurmukhi format into the UK in the 1820s. You know, so this is very interesting in perspective. There's a study, maybe, you know.
And these people were scholars. I mean, most of the politicians would have been taken from scholarly kind of circles, and so we wouldn't have just brought it for, you know, aesthetic reasons. He would have actually had some interest in what was in the building.
I hope so, and this it opens up lots of avenues. I hope these tours do open up a lot of avenues for people to think about.
I'm sure they will.
I mean, in some sense, this is a bit like the Da Vinci Code, you know. I mean, what you do is you kind of, you know, you find something, and you find something, and then you begin to connect, and you're sort of building a bigger picture, and, you know. If we go to the next slide, PG slide to Jaiye, and this is the Old Kent Road.
Yeah, so the old...
This is kind of old London, really, isn't it? You know?
So this is... I used to do Monopoly tours in the old days. I used to take kids on Monopoly tours, and I always struggled with the Old Kent Road because it's a poor part of London, it's across the river. But here we have a church in the Old Kent Road called the Pembroke College Mission, and you'll see the picture of the church in the top right. I actually worked on a project here in this church. But when you see this church, the minister for this church in the 1890s was this gentleman on the left. His name was Charles Freer Andrews, also something like Christ's faithful apostle, people called him. And he really influenced Gandhi in his early days. It's not really accounted for in the films, but in the books he is. But he was witness to all of...
Jetta Morcha?
Yes, so this is the Morcha. Guru Kabag Morcha. Yeah, so the 1920-21, Guru Kabag, Amritsar. And these are the photos of the Morcha. But he was an eyewitness to this.
Right.
And he saw the way the Indian police force dealt with a peaceful morcha. And every day Jathas would leave Amritsar and come back injured and beaten, and they would go again, and they would go again until the jails were full, all for the access to the Guru Kabag, which was next to the Gurdwara. And he wrote all of this up. Slide 4 has some of the articles, but we won't go through them. But it was a very...
Chauthi slide wal jaiye ta uthe jidda aapa gal, what was his name again?
Charles Freer Andrews, right at the top.
Charles Freer Andrews, jo ki padri siga, aapa gal karde bhi jado Guru ka Bagh morcha, ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿੱਤ ਦਾ ਮੋਰਚਾ ਵੀ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਆਬਜ਼ਰਵ ਕੀਤਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲੇਖਾਂ ਲਿਖੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟ੍ਰਿਬਿਊਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਦੇ 9th of 20th September 1922 ਤਾਂ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ, ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਕਰ ਦਵਾਂ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਤਿੰਨਾਂ ਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੱਖ ਜੋ ਇਹ ਜਥਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਆਪ ਖੁਦ ਫੌਜੀ ਸੀਗੇ, ਸੋਲਜਰ ਸੀਗੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਜੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਰਸਟ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਲੜੇ ਸੀ। So he felt guilty that these people who fought for Queen and country were being beaten by the very same people they fought for.
And he published this in newspapers here. He was sending the articles here, so these you can search for these articles and you'll find many. But Freer Andrews is also commemorated in Delhi, in Fiji for labour rights, union rights, but he did a detailed account of the morchas in English.
And the other thing is, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੋਚਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੌਮ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਕਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਦੇ embellish it, ਉਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਪੱਖ ਹੀ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ। ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਦੂਜੀ ਕੌਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਕਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਅੱਖੀ ਡਿੱਠਾ ਹਾਲ ਅਕਾਲੀ ਜੋ ਉੱਥੇ ਅਕਾਲੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਸੀ, ਜਿੰਨੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੁੱਟ ਖਾਧੀ, ਡਾਂਗਾ ਖਾਧੀਆਂ, ਪਰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਝਿਜਕਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ। Nobody flinched. This is the bravery of those Sikhs, Manjit.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਜੀ।
And it was brutal.
ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੰਨੀ।
I mean, some died as well. It was brutal, wasn't it? And so ਉਹਨੇ ਆਪ ਖੁਦ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਚ bravery ਕਿੰਨੀ ਸੀਗੀ। So this is amazing. So ਆਪਾਂ ਜੇ should go to the next one.
Go to the next one.
So we've gone to the slide number 5, which is the Royal Hospital in Chelsea.
So this is one of my favourite locations on the tours, only because they give me a lot of access. So if here you see here it says January the 13th, 1849 on this column. This is the Chilianwala Memorial. So this is a memorial to the British soldiers who died in the Chilianwala battle. But many of those who survived that Jallianwala battle came and retired here, who were injured. They were at the Royal Hospital. So when we go into their medal room or their dining room, it details all of the Sikh wars in the dining room where they eat. When you go into the medal room, I found all the medals now. So the Jallianwala, Multan, Gujarat medals, including Lucknow as well. So those soldiers would have come back here. And there was a time when they said 2 of the Maharaja Ranjit Singh cannons were kept here. And that's the photo, they said 2. But every year as technology advances, they can date these guns even better. So there's a discrepancy now about whether both of them are or one of them are. I was there last week and they said one of them's back. So I need to go and take some more photos and see.
Because, of course, the Royal Hospital would have been serving for the military at the time.
So they were the wounded.
Barracks,
yes, so Chelsea, so the wounded soldiers come back and they're the recoveries at the Royal Hospital. It's not a hospital, it's more like a retirement home.
So एक बार फिर दर्शकों ने से भी आज जो पिक्चर है ये जो इतने बहुत आज उन्होंने ये जो चिड़ियावाला जो कि एंग्लो सिख वॉर ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ बहुत जबरदस्त लड़ाई हुई सी और ब्रिटिश ने उन्होंने अपनी यादगार हैगी ਇੱਥੇ
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਯਾਦਗਾਰ ਪਰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਕੈਨਨਸ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਸੀਗੇ
ਤੋਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇੱਥੇ
ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਸਾਰੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੁਣ the hospital are grateful that we're trying to work with them so they've offered me access to their boxes.
That's really fantastic.
I need to take some kids down there and start looking through the boxes, the maps, the books.
Now
the
let me ask you
medals
one thing because again they would present their own perspective on those battles.
But it's the soldiers who were there who wrote these accounts down in their memoirs.
So how generous are they to the Sikhs?
There's many books around that time. If you look at Henty's The Sikh Wars, and when a British was captured as a prisoner of war, he was given langar, he was given water, he was treated well, and they wrote these things down. They had no reason. If
that's really good. They got the history.
Years, so these are available, and a lot of them are available for free now because any book over 100 years old can be downloaded for free.
I know that war and battle and conquest is always something not to be celebrated. But I think in those days there was a kind of a chivalry, there was a kind of a tradition that even if if you meet your match, then you honour them. So I think that you do find the British honouring the Sikhs, even though the Sikhs fought a war, 2 wars against them.
So
we've finished. No, we've got quite a few slides to go.
All right.
So next to this slide, this is number 6 slide.
So this is
St Luke's Church, Chelsea.
So if you can see St Luke's Church, Chelsea on the screen here. This is one of my I think one of my best finds because this wasn't on Google when I started doing the research and my computer was down and I had to walk around Chelsea, so I walked into this church and it says there's a chapel. The right side of the chapel is dedicated to the Punjab Frontier Force. So here's all the photos of the chapel. They have the chairs, there's 14 Sikh regiments insignias there, the glass in the windows inscribed to the Sikhs, the cushions have got the Sikhs. And this is, I like to go here regularly on the tours because they're very welcoming. This is a group of 50 we took there in October and they were so welcoming the church and we're trying to do more with them. We're trying to do memorial services with them as well. But the whole chapel is dedicated to the glory of God in memory of those who served.
As a tour guide, do you get good feedback?
Yeah, I was going to.
You've got a very gentle voice as well, and it's like
I try.
You connect with the people very well, I suppose.
It's all storytelling. If you can connect stories, mainly it's for the kids, so they get a head start on us. We started pretty late, but if they could start earlier, then it's just a little bit there.
So if we just look, the Punjab Frontier Force. So this was 1846, 1847.
1947, up to independence. So it's 100 years. So the Punjab Frontier Force was along the Afghan border. It was on the west side of Punjab. And the British needed to defend that after the Anglo-Sikh Wars. So they for the first time in history, they allowed Sikhs to stay with Sikhs because they felt there was a 10% camaraderie factor. So you're out there on the Afghan border in hostile terrain. But if you're in a little jatha of your own, like the Saragari 21, there was a factor they recognised. And there was 14 regiments, and in 47, when Pakistan was created, they wanted to send all the stuff to Delhi. And Delhi said, we're full, we're getting so many, send it to London. So the first place to go to was the V&A, and they were saying, seriously, we're getting so much back. And they started asking around, and St Luke said, bring it all here. And when they saw the chairs, the bishop's chairs, the cushions, everything, they said, we will recreate the chapel here.
Wow.
So they recreated the chapel in 52. It was consecrated by the Bishop of London. And every day they have prayers for peace at 9 o'clock.
So ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਅਗਲੀ ਸਲਾਈਡ ਵੱਲ ਜਾਈਏ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਬਕਿੰਗਮ ਪੈਲੇਸ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਬਕਿੰਗਮ ਪੈਲੇਸ ਜੋ ਮਹਾਰਾਣੀ ਆ ਸਾਡੀ ਯੂਕੇ ਦੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਔਰ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਾਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਬਕਿੰਗਮ ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਬਕਿੰਗਮ ਪੈਲੇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਨ ਦ ਰਾਇਲ ਕਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੋਸ਼ਾ ਖਾਨਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ
So this is Bairam Singh. So Bairam Singh, he was here in the UK in 1891, 92. He was the designer of the Khalsa College Amritsar, and the photo there at the bottom. So when they saw this design and architecture, Queen Victoria, as ruler of Punjab, Empress of India, never went to India, but she wanted to drink tea in a darbar environment. So he was shipped over as an architect to build something called the darbar in the Isle of Wight. And he did that, and this is a photo there on the right-hand side of the peacock throne, which he designed. And to say thank you, she got her royal painter to paint his portrait, and she keeps it in the royal collection.
Well, you mentioned Queen Victoria. I mean, bilkul theek hai, she was the queen of the empire. And if you go to India, you go to Mumbai, and you've got big statues of Victoria. But she never actually went to India. But she was an Indian file or Indophile. She loved everything Indian.
Including tea, drinking tea.
But also her manservant that she had.
Yes. So there's a film soon coming out, Abdul and Victoria.
Yeah, so he was an Indian.
Yeah.
And also she could actually, she learned Hindi. She could speak Hindi as well. And it says that the Leap Singh, it was like she was his godson. He was his godson. I mean, for a period. But could I mean, thinking about Buckingham Palace, is the Leap Singh as a child? Is he kind of playing around? Is he running around?
He was attending. Obviously, we have books on this now through some of our for Peter Bantz's mainly collection. He was attending royal functions. He was being asked to attend, as a celebrity factor. The Black Prince he was called, as you know.
Yes, of course,
So, if we go to the next slide, it's number 8, Museum of London.
Yeah, so the Museum of London actually houses quite a few items in their collection to do with Sikhs in London. But what they have on display is a painting called Entwined. And it talks about the history of Sikhs and Indians in London and our entwined history by the Singh twins. And so that's available in the lower galleries. You can go and see that painting.
Right.
So that would have been specially commissioned?
Commissioned by the museum to be housed in the museum. So they
and of course the other famous painting that they did, I'm not sure if it's been on display at the museum, was the 1984 painting.
That's in America on display.
It's the Smithsonian.
Smithsonian, yes.
So that's a Smithsonian. Just to say about the Singh twins, these are two Sikh artists. They are identical twins. You've met them,
yeah? We've met them,
yeah, from Liverpool, who have done some phenomenal work, but also that they've actually developed their own style.
Yes,
they
modern.
I don't know what it's called, but it's like a 3D, but on a 2D canvas.
Yeah.
And it's breathtaking.
They bring stories alive from the past in a modern style. They call it past modern.
Yeah, so it's kind of like an oxymoron, but it kind of works, doesn't it? Yeah. Past modern.
Yeah.
So ji ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਚੱਲੀਏ for the next slide.
Last one here now.
This is the last one. ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਸਮਾਂ ਵੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਦੌੜ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਮਨਜੀਤ. This is a Coventry Street Haymarket.
Yeah, so this is a photograph, the top right. Princess.
All the women here, by the way, the young Sikh women really need to take note of this one. Take inspiration from this.
So Princess Sophia the Leap Singh really has a lot of inspiring history for all young Sikhs, really. She led the suffragette movement after Emily Pankhurst. There's lots of history around that. And she also, the photo we see here is she's selling elephant pins, like we sell poppy pins. She's selling elephant pins so we could raise money to get heavy uniforms for our Indian soldiers. They came in summer uniforms. So this is 1916 during the war. So they needed heavy, so they were trying to fundraise here on the left in Haymarket. That photo's from the Museum of London. And then Caxton Hall has a lot of history with Sikhs, but that's where their meetings used to take place.
General Dyer there.
Yeah, so but earlier than that,
Singh,
that's the meeting place also for the suffragettes. And outside they have a memorial to the suffragettes about all
so
of the
ਥੋੜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਆ ਜੋ ਪਿਕਚਰ ਆ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇਹ ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਆ in fact we could do the whole program on this. ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਪ੍ਰਿੰਸੈਸ ਸੋਫੀਆ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੱਜੇ ਹੱਥੇ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ I think she's outside Kensington Palace. Because and she was actually protesting and she also outside Buckingham Palace. She used to give this newsletter out there for women's suffrage. ਇੱਥੇ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਲੈਣ ਦੀ ਖਾਤਰ the campaign. It was in 1916. Was it?
So 1916. This is the war campaign, and then later the suffrage.
When did they get the suffrage? It was 1919, something like
around that time. So 1920.
So ਜਿਹੜੀ ਦਲੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਧੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਸੋਫੀਆ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੀਗਾ ਇਨਫੈਕਟ she took inspiration from Sikh scriptures and the teachings.
She went to India.
She went to India and she reclaimed her heritage. ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੋਚਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੇ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਔਰਤ ਦਾ ਕੰਟਰੀਬਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਡੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰੂ ਕਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਗੁਰੂਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਹਿਲ ਵੀ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਾਂ ਮਾਤਾ ਭਾਗ ਕੌਰ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਕਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ after the Guru period women disappeared really from any kind of historical account. That's not because they weren't there, it's that maybe we just haven't recorded. And for me,
so based on that, we do a Sikh women's tour in London as well now. So
that's really good.
She's one, but there's many more. That's the history. There's a Sikh women's tour in London now as well.
So I think all the Sikh women out there, particularly, you need to realise that you are following a heritage of feminism, of women's rights, women's suffrage, women's struggle. From Bagor, earlier, even right back to Bibi Nanki, These were women who were saying, "Jita Guru Nanak Pasha ne kiya, so ko mande akhiye, jit jamme rajan." Now, I know it was revealed Bani, but Guru Nanak must have been influenced by, his sister, and so the birth of Sikhi for me is about suffrage, it's about freedom, it's about equality, and Princess Sophia follows that tradition. So that's the last slide. I mean, again, fantastic stuff.
It's brilliant.
And
material.
Just if people want to find out more, just give some website or Facebook.
So we're called A Little History of the Sikhs on Facebook. So A Little History. All the tours are on there. So we put them up on there.
So what's your future plans then, Ravi?
So we do UK tours as well. We do UK tours. We have the regular Brighton, Thetford. We've been to Europe, Belgium, France. We try to go every 18 months to Ypres. And basically I try and do them as study tours, day trips and family trips, 3 generations coming together, grandparents, everyone's welcome.
Just saying, we've got about 7 or 8 minutes, so if anybody has a burning desire to, we can maybe take 1 or 2 calls, so if you would like to call, if you've got a question that you'd like to ask, do that, but we can only take 1 or 2 calls, so if I can ask the gallery to just put any call through. Manjeet,
So what message would you like to give to the youth out there about Sikh heritage?
So about getting involved really.
Getting involved as well.
I think from my Punjabi school kids, I always try and say to them that whatever you're interested in, if it's art, if it's fashion, if it's shastras, if it's poetry, if it's design, if it's buildings, if it's architecture, there's a Sikh history angle you can bring into your studies, and you can display that. So we were at a school recently, and I just brought the artifacts. We were doing a museum session in a Catholic school, and they wrote back to me afterwards to say they spent the rest of the term drawing stories out in the sing twin style. So they're bringing that into the curriculum. So for me, it's an education perspective, and every generation we kind of lose a percentage, but we're trying to fight against a flow the other way, and this is a different angle to try and help Sikh kids to connect with their heritage. So
I've come across so many British-born Sikhs and who really have kind of not been particularly interested in Sikhi, through the Gurdwara. If anything, they've been put off. Jira Sikhi, thodi body kechsi obi. But when they do come across these things, and me personally, Majid, I didn't come to Sikhi through Gurdwaras. I came through Sikhi through reading books on history, and I came across Banda Singh Bahadur, and I came across these revolutionaries, and so that was the lens I saw them at. I mean, some of these, we all have our own kind of vantage point, we are on lens on the world.
Sometimes you have to step out to find Sikhi about yourself, discovering yourself, so.
But what is your perspective? I mean, is it a Western perspective? Is it how do you kind of how do you kind of relate to that material?
So when I do the tours, depending on the audience who are with me, when we're at a location, I'm presenting you the primary evidence and a story. When we're walking, depending on who I'm talking with, we could explore so much more.
There must be tensions there between this kind of colonial and post-colonial kind of perspective.
But the history is there. You know, we were colonized. You know, we had 2 wars, and we were for 100 years. Punjab was ruled by the British. You know, that there is a history there. We can learn from it. We should know it, and we can learn from it, and we should use it to make ourselves stronger.
And so our pride isn't necessarily pride in the imperialist or in the colonizer. Our pride is the way in which we dealt with them. Both we cooperate with them, but also when we challenge them.
There's a whole history around the challenging of them. You know, the Sikh revolutions. Revolutionaries tour is
and Princess Sophie. Well, Sophie is a good example. You know, she's still got that radical kind of dissenting tradition that's part of our tradition. From the time of the Gurus, you know, Sikhs were dissenters. Because I think, you know, we all always feel there's a bigger cause. That's not to say that the Sikhs don't also try to live in harmony, because I mean, ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਔਰੰਗਜ਼ੇਬ ਨੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਹੀ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਕਰਤਾ. Okay, and then Aurangzeb dies, Bahadur Shah comes in as the next emperor, and actually Guru Gobind Singh meets him, and you know there is a kind of you know cooling off, and you know there's some mutual respect there. So you know Sikhs, you know we are warriors, but we're not seeking to fight wars. There's a kind of contradiction there. You know we always try to make peace. I mean that's the important message. You know it's not warmongering, is it? We're not warmongers.
No. We've had some recent experiences with. You know, there's a calm approach first before you raise the sword. There's always there's a solution before you need.
But what about this?
Before you take any action.
I suppose one thing is that if we look at the Anglo-Sikh kind of historical tradition, then it's primarily through war, Anglo-Sikh wars, and then obviously the British Empire and the way in which the British co-opted Sikhs into the British Indian Army. And that some people have said that that's created this slightly distorted view of Sikhs as a kind of warrior race, and that the warrior race.
But they classified us as a warrior race.
So the British did classify us.
So that's an important part. But we had this discussion at Leicester that we were architects. We are, you know, town designers. You know, we made so many cities were created in Punjab from our gurus, and they gave us a blueprint of how to create an economically vibrant community. You know, so that we can learn from those.
Right. Although we are not pacifists, you know, we will take up arms. You know, we're very tolerant. If you look at, say, like the Kukas, for example, by Baba Ram Singh, you know, and they stood in front of cannons, and they were blown apart. And you know, in fact, that's why the Kukas, I think, wear white is that to symbolise peace. And and we've got other examples from the Guru's periods, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, so you know, Sikhs are peacemakers. Let's be honest. Can they? If you want to make a friend, the Sikhs are the best friends to make. But if you want to make an enemy, the Sikhs are the worst enemies to make. And
so it was last extreme minute. One to another.
Last minute. Anyway, any last thoughts, Rav, about anything today?
No, thank you for the invitation, really, from me.
Thanks for being here today and joining us.
Thank you. I mean, ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫੋਕਸ ਸੀਗੀ ਉਹ ਸੀਗੀ ਲੰਡਨ ਦੇ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੈਂਸਿੰਗਟਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਹਾਦਸਾ you know, to be honest, it's unbearable. When I watched that,
it's shocking news.
You get numb. You don't know how to respond.
You don't know.
You know, coming after the terrorist attacks on London Bridge, and then we had the attacks in Manchester.
It's been like an ongoing thing.
And then Westminster Bridge before that. It feels like we're living in very troubled times. But sometimes in those kind of moments, you see these light of rays of hope coming through.
You do.
And I think that you know that story of the Sikh narrative in Britain, in London, I think again is being recreated now in Kensington and Chelsea through the ways in which we had Gurpreet and they were talking about Swat and Khalsa Aid and all the United Sikhs, and how I think that we are now creating new pathways for Sikhs, new ways for Sikhs to actually assert their identity in a world which is in turmoil, changing, and that's the way to go. You know, we look back, but we look forward. So आज के program ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੁਣ ਸਮਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਖਤਮ ਆ। ਜੇ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਮਾਫ ਕਰਨਾ। Rav Singh, thanks very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Warwick University tomorrow, there are still places. Go online and you could still book ਬਟ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ ਆ ਫਤਿਹ ਬੁਲਾਉਣੀ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
बोल